Okay, so the goal for today is finding the commission rate. We already did the first aim. We identified and we understood the definition of commission in the last page. So we're good with that. What we're going to do next is we have to first identify the initial value and the final value. That's the part in the whole. This is a skill that we have been doing for yesterday and for the last few months, so you should be pretty set on this. And we're going to again find the percent of the commission by dividing the part with the whole. So what I need you to do is you should have something to write with and a piece of paper, and we're going to start. Now you guys have been doing a great job sending in your notes to me, so I'm going to give you all a shout out on that. Please keep that up. Okay, so the CFS is actually breaking down per question. So CFS number 1 is aligned with question number 1 over here. So we're going to go over that question by question, and we're just going to start with the problem. It says, in December, Melvin's Electric Company offered a commission rate for the holidays. Usually when it asks you for the commission rate, that means the percent earned in commissions for that salesperson. So he receives commission on his total sales for the month. Okay, every salesperson, as we talked about before, receives commission for however much they sell. So how much they make depends every month on however much they sold that month. So this month, it says his paycheck for the month was $2,200. Now something really important, it says including in the $2,200 is his salary of $1,000. So a salesperson makes a salary sometimes, which means that he will always get $1,000 a month, but his commission, like I said before, is going to depend on how much he sold that month. So his paycheck will look different probably month to month, but he'll always earn a salary. So a salary is the same amount every month, okay, regardless of how much he sold. So if he sold $20,000 worth of electronics in December, express the rate of commission as a percent. So we're going to find his commission rate based on the numbers that we have here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in example 1, we're going to write down all of the numbers. So here, $2,200, that represents his paycheck. I think you guys hear my sister in the back singing. Just ignore her. Okay, now his paycheck includes his commission plus his salary. And we said the salary is like a fixed amount per month that he's earning. And so what we know is the salary is $1,000. That's what it told us. So he earns $1,000 each month. Now what we need to find is how much commission he made that month in dollars. And so if I want to figure out, I'm going to put equals here, $2,200. What plus 1,000 gives me 2,200? I'm going to find the difference and subtract. So we're going to just, on the side here, subtract $2,200 minus $1,000 because I want to know what my commission is, and that's going to give me $1,200. And so his commission is $1,200. So he earned an extra $1,200 plus his $1,000 in salary for that month. All right, cool. Now, what I'm going to do is, number 1, we said what was the total amount in dollars of his commission for the month. What you're going to just type is $1,200. We're just going to put the number. That's it. That's all you need to do. So we finished the first CFS, which is identify the amount in dollars in commission the salesperson earned. Melvin earned $1,200. Step 2, it says what represents the whole or the initial value. And so what I'm going to do on the side is, in my notes, we're going to do the part, again, the percent, and the whole. Okay, now we have a few numbers here. So what represents the whole? Is it the $1,200 of his commission or the $20,000, which is the amount total he sold? And sometimes it can be a little bit confusing determining, well, which one is it? But my whole is the $20,000. That actually is my initial value because that came first. And the commission depends on the total amount, okay? So my initial value is his sales, how much he ended up selling that month. So my whole is a pretty big number. That's $20,000. And remember, that is the initial amount. And again, this is really important because commission is based on how much you earn that month. Okay, which means we know that the part, which is the final value, is how much he ends up earning that month. And here is something so important. Because we are finding the commission rate, we are not putting $2,200. That doesn't represent the commission. That represents his paycheck. What represents his commission is $1,200. So we're going to do $1,200. And what we need to find is the percent, which is X. Great. So we are going to write our equation. We're going to do part equals the percent times the whole. Just remember that this means multiplication if you have just parentheses. Okay, now I'm gonna just like swing back here so we make sure that we put in all of our answers. Here, what represents the whole? We said the whole is the total amount, the initial value, how much he sold that month, which is $20,000. What represents the part? That is his commission. That's how much he earns at the end. Now, number 3, what we are gonna find is the commission rate. Out of what percent does he actually earn out of the total that he sold? Okay, so the percent actually here represents the commission rate, just so we are all aware. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna now substitute. The part is $1,200. I'm gonna put 1,200 equals my percent. I do not have it, so I'm gonna put X. And the whole is $20,000. Now, like I said, we're gonna always rewrite this because you should get used to the coefficient always being on the left. So this would be 20,000x, and we want to figure out what is 1x. So to get 1x, we're gonna divide, obviously, 20,000 by 20,000. Okay, we get 1x equals. Here is a huge mistake that so many of you made, and I caught when you sent me your notes. Listen very carefully. This is 1,200 divided by 20,000, okay? Which means that the answer I'm going to get is an answer that is going to be less than 1, right? Here, my numerator is smaller than my denominator. That's going to give me a very small number, okay? Those of you who are like writing down in your calculators 20,000 divided by 1,200, no. This is 1,200 divided by 20,000. So if I were to put this in the calculator, I'm going to, let's pull up my calculator. Okay. If I have 1,200 divided by 20,000, I'm going to write 1,200 divided by 20,000. A lot of you are just like so used to the habit of putting the greater number as your numerator. No, you need to really understand with division what this means, okay? So here we go. 1,200 divided by 20,000, as you saw right over here, gives me 6 hundredths, okay? How I would say this 6 is in the hundredths place. But we want to know what is that as a percent. So to figure out as a percent, remember we're going to do 600 times 100. And what we could do is put 100% because we remember that we're converting this into a percent. And anytime you're multiplying by 100, the decimal place, remember, moves twice to the right for two reasons. Multiplying makes my number bigger. Second, anytime I multiply by 10, that moves the decimal place once. Because I'm multiplying by 100, this would be 10, 10, which means that is 6%. So he earns out of all of the money that he sold, which is 20,000, he earns 6% of the 20,000 that he makes. That is actually how salespersons make money. So we are going to put 6%. Remember, it's 600 and we turned it into a percent. That's 6%. So just to remind you, okay, here's what we did. What we did was we took his paycheck and we found his salary and we found and we found the commission in dollars. Next, we did Next we did percent and the whole. We figured out what the whole was, my initial amount. We figured out what the part was. Remember, the whole is how much he sold total, and the commission is part of that whole. So we wanted to find the commission rate, which means the percent. So I got my equation. I substituted, I divided, and I read this as 1,200 divided by 20,000. How many times does 1,200 go into 20,000? And that gives me 600, which makes sense because 1,200 is less than 20,000. I'm going to get a number that is less than 1. And that gave me 6% because I converted 600s into a percent. So what you are going to do next is start independent practice. And just to review, today you will text and email me your independent practice notes, okay? That's what I want to see. So don't forget to do that.